That's that kind of Pavement dude. The slacker guy. What's he going to talk about?
Stephen Malkmus is of course famous for being a Hull City football fan, but he's also a musician who has played in bands including Pavement, the Silver Jews, and Stephen Malkmus and the Jicks. Earlier this year, he also released a solo album under his own name called Groove Denied, which for the first time sees him move away from guitar-led indie rock and more into electronic music. It's a record he put together using the Ableton software program. I recorded this episode with Stephen a couple of weeks ago in a hotel room that was about the size of a double bed, and on that bed we sat and spoke mainly about films, but there's also a bit of Pavement chat coming up later for everyone who's a Pavement fan and listening. And just one word of warning before we get going: if you are operating heavy machinery, please stop for the next 30 minutes or so. This is a very relaxed conversation with Stephen, which falls in line with everything that we love Malkmus for, and hopefully everything we endeavour to do here on this late night podcast. If you do like what you hear, please consider supporting this podcast by subscribing to Loud and Quiet magazine. All the information is at loudandquiet.com/subscribe, where we will post you our next 9 issues for as little as £3 a month. It helps us keep the magazine in print, and it also helps us keep producing this podcast. So the last time I saw you play was earlier this year at Primavera Sound. Mm-hmm. The same day that you played, which I think was on the first day of the festival, actually. But earlier that day in the morning, I came and watched your talk about film soundtracks.
Oh, good.
About music in films and stuff.
I'm glad that someone got to see that. Cool.
You had some wild choices in there. This, to explain to anyone listening to this that might not know, that you had to pick 10 moments of music in film. There were some left field choices in there. The one that sticks out for me was that clip of Hulk Hogan playing a guitar.
Yeah.
Cut over like...
Yeah, with Obama or something.
Dancing with Ellen.
Yeah.
I'll put a link to this under this podcast so people can see that. It's a visual treat. Did you get the feeling that they were expecting more mainstream choices from you?
Maybe. I mean, I know how that is. It's not... I mean, I'm not... of course, I was maybe signaling that I was not gonna play that game or but like really, it's I think we all know a lot of these. I wasn't there to just like completely be in a community and like watch I don't know, a Morricone movie or Pulp Fiction or something, say these certain classic things that we already know, like our shared memory of that. When given an opportunity to do something like that, I want to expand and show people stuff they haven't seen. And also, so I did show some movies that I quite like. And
yeah, the first one you showed looked amazing.
That's Peter Fonda just died recently too.
Yeah.
It was his movie after Easy Rider. It's a great movie, and like Mickey won as Arthur Penn. I did Bonnie and Clyde. It's one of his first movies, and but yeah, media. I was just expanding the idea of just not only kind of classic high budget movies. There's a lot of we consume a lot of low. We get a lot of stuff from YouTube, like these days.
Yeah, I like your choices. You chose some good. America does this really well as well. Certainly better than we do here in the UK. Of TV movies.
That's true.
There was the one you showed of like the kids that were
teenage shoplifter. Yeah, that was specifically really resonates with me because I'm born in '66, so like that time. 77 to 82 was, I would say, it was the golden age of TV movies or something. It was like a time when they would show kids would only get to watch TV or watch a movie on TV on a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon.
Right.
It'd be like and they were messagey, almost. It's almost like you could show them in school too.
Yeah, quite educational.
Yeah, it was
Have you always been a film guy? Because you were born in LA, and do you think like having, I know you moved away when you were 8 years old out of the city, but having been born in that mecca of obviously entertainment and movies, does that instill something in you to love movies, do you think?
I don't think so. So paradoxically, sorry to disagree. My dad, and he's very he's from that region for multiple generations, like pre-Hollywood, and it wasn't that they were against what became Hollywood, but it was sort of oblivious. They sort of existed in a world of bankers and insurance agents and real estate developers and not artistic people. I think he had one friend at his high school, who went to work in Hollywood out of like 50. Like everyone else went into just traditional Mad Men style era. I mean, Mad Men guy was a creative person, but these kind of jobs were as martinis and secretaries or something, to paraphrase. So I think just like you, my experience of this stuff is really, I never got obsessed with movies. I would say, I just respected. When I went through older, I wanted to learn about like great artists and stuff, and also, but I also was into total trash of Porky's and just things aimed at me, Caddyshack, movies like that, Stripes, Bill Murray, just stuff that's aimed at people like me. Like,
you did some work on the Bob Dylan film.
Yeah, there was a movie by Todd Haynes, a really cool director and a friend of mine who lives in Portland part-time, called I'm Not There, about Bob Dylan. And he got a bunch of people to sing, current artists like Jim James from My Morning Jacket, and there were others, I'm just blanking. But he had me do a Ballad of a Thin Man, or it was his idea, which is one of Bob's, my good friend Bob's classic songs.
Yeah.
Bobby's great, amazing songs. I couldn't believe it, really. I was like, holy shit, I can't, not worthy. And then the movie got made, and then Cate Blanchett, who's like super talented, she lip synced along to my voice in the movie. And that was really quite incredible for me.
Yeah. Has there been any other movie work? I know you also soundtracked
Not really.
Flaked.
I did a soundtrack music for the show featuring a comedian named Will Arnett.
I loved that show. It was like a Netflix. It ran for like 2 series.
That's nice that you watched it. It did not take the world by storm in terms of streaming numbers. But, I mean, I guess it was maybe just not wrong time for that kind of show. And
But it looked nice because it was set in all of those waterways of Venice.
Oh, yeah.
And
the cinematographer was good, and the music was amazing.
The music I felt could have been better. No,
but I have done. I got a friend of mine's making a movie. Has made a movie. Her name's Kelly Reichert. She's made some movies like Certain Women. One of them's called, and also Old Joy, featuring Will Oldham from the Palace Brothers, and Bonnie Prince Billy. He was a star of it, and a couple of other ones with Michelle Williams. One called Wendy and Lucy. But she's made a new movie. Just it's coming out this next year, and I'm playing fiddle in it. I don't have any lines, but
so you're on screen.
I'm actually on screen in that one. Yeah, I'm playing fiddle on my lower arm, dressed like a 1830s pioneer, in Oregon. So
is it a period piece?
Yeah, it's period. It's
okay,
like
right.
1820. Yeah, it's all completely period. Everything's supposedly period correct, except the actual people in it are not from that time, because that would be impossible.
That would be impossible, yeah. That would be a feat to do that. Do you have any acting, either experience or ambition? Do you have any ambition to be an actor?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a big jump. It's like really putting yourself out there. It's enough to put yourself out with music and just being, even doing a podcast and and doing promo photos. And, it's more, and when you see people that are working in it, like who they are hiring, I mean, it's very specific what they want, and it's very important. So, I wouldn't think that I'd be right for. I mean, I guess I'm talking at another next level tier. I mean, a friend's doing a movie or something, I might do it.
Sure.
If we're just like on video cameras and the budget's like low. I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, but I've just seen her, like Kelly, go through these trying to cast people. It's like so important, just seeing that who they really want certain. It's not only if they're famous, that can be an issue too, to get funding. It's nice to get a big star to attract people to invest in your movie, but it's just like, this person has to be in it. No, this person, it's like the way they have to obsess over that. I mean, I'm a little bit like, even in music, I'm like, just throw this person on. I mean, I pick somebody, but I don't have to think about it that much. The stakes are lower.
Yeah, sure.
The budgets are lower, and if I pick someone to play a fiddle track, or even my drummer, it's just like, I just ram it in there and like, let's see how it works.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's on film, I guess in music you should know right away if it's bad, or not as good as it could be, but movies can go south like easily.
I watched a good it's a documentary really about Terry Gilliam?
Mm-hmm.
From
he did
Python.
Brazil and things like that.
Yeah. And he tried to make Don Quixote. Mm-hmm. And there's a documentary not basically about that failing, about like it falling apart. And it was like this cursed film.
Yeah.
I watched it recently. It's called The Last Man in Manchia,
I'd probably like
maybe.
to see that.
It's really interesting, and it's fascinating how quickly a whole film falls apart. Like, basically, there's rainfall on the first day.
Yeah.
And it just sets this snowball of shit running
Yeah.
on this production. And it just has to, by the end of the week, it's dead. Like years and years of work, and it's just over because their budgets were so small, and there was
Right.
no room for that to happen.
Yeah.
Quite shocking.
It can be hard.
Yeah.
I mean, and just things like tone, and I mean, other things that a movie can be made and it can just be bad for like little reasons, that aren't. It's kind of magic when it all comes together.
You're living back in Portland now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was a period of time when you guys went to Berlin.
Yeah, like 2012 to 14 or something like that. I can't remember exactly when it was, but
What made you choose Berlin as a place to move to?
we wanted to move away from Portland because it's small town and a little bit repetitive, and it's awesome in its ways, but it's also my partner's a big city person, or at least she identifies as one. Mm-hmm. Therefore she is, and we were just thinking where we could go. Could have been America, but I always liked it there in a way, and they make it relatively easy for you to get a visa to live there. There's some of that stuff too. And as we were just searching around for places to stay, she found one, like a house that was easy to, I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't particularly obsessed with Germany, just looking for a place to go, and seemed pretty cool. It's not deep.
Did you go to many of the clubs? Did you get into that world at all?
Yeah, one of my friends who is a younger guy. He's a DJ too. He and his wife, they're called Local Suicide, and they had a night, like every 2 months they would have their own night. But so I would go to their nights. I also go out with him sometimes, and he was pretty in the know about stuff, and so that was good. It was nice to have a guide, because I could look in Resident Advisor or something and kind of see what's going on but I wouldn't really might not have taken the effort. I also probably wouldn't wait in line or something. He would usually get me to go in.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry to say.
Was it? Were you new to that world though? Like in terms of like electronic music and clubbing and
Going clubbing, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I listen to stuff that kind of clubbing, multi-room, off your head style, late nights. Haven't done that much. Kind of avoided it in the 90s when Pavement was over here during the ecstasy rave culture revolution. I don't know why. I think I was, I was also up my own ass thinking about what I was doing. And in America, it was all grunge and guitars. And here it was like a fusion of cool things going on. And I guess the yellow smiley faces, and I wasn't a big drug taker. So I kind of thought I didn't think of its social ramifications. I just kind of listened to it, and it felt animal, kind of drug animal thing, or like the intellectual side of it I couldn't get, which I do now.
Was it in Berlin where the new record, Groove Denied, started? Is that the genesis of the record comes from there?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I listened to a lot of that music, but it was more, for me, was getting different software and hardware in my house, and a little bit making that Flaked soundtrack that we were talking about, although they wanted, they didn't want, but I thought that it should be kind of melancholy, guitar-y, indie, classic rock, kind of went with that character. It got me to start recording myself more, and also a friend of mine gave me Ableton, like in 2012 or something, but I didn't really interact with it. I just kind of messed around with it. And so once I started recording a bit on that and bouncing that back to Pro Tools back and forth, and just trying to record myself again, like demos, which I have done demos, but I didn't try to make them into a final project.
Earlier this year, you were on the cover of Wire magazine here, and there was a little column in there about, you were talking about the YouTube tutorials that you'd watch, about Ableton tutorials, to teach you that kind of stuff. I love YouTube tutorials anyway.
Yeah,
I kind of use them for everything now.
Me too.
Like if I want to put oil in my car, the first thing I go to is YouTube for that.
Yeah, I fixed a dent on a rental car, seeing if you use a toilet plunger, does it work or not. That's a recent thing I did.
Did it work?
Yeah, okay. With a small dent, it does work.
Okay,
cool. A deeper dent, no go.
I always think the people that do those tutorials are good people, because they're not doing it for anything other than to be helpful to other people and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
What would you, if you were to upload a tutorial, what would you do one on? What would you be able to gift to the internet?
Right. Isn't that sad that I don't have anything I can really... It seems like most people do it better already. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't know what mine would be. I don't think I've got any...
Of course, I could do a tennis one, but it would be like for people up to my level, or people, it'd be kind of limited to a person that got my sense of humor and would see the slight irony of me doing that, because I'm already, whether I think I already have, like, people know me, so, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just not like an average dude yet, unfortunately. I mean, I would be to millions of people, but the first people that went there, they would be like, what? That's that kind of Pavement dude, the slacker guy, what's he going to talk about? You know what I mean?
What would you teach? How to do a perfect serve? What would be your tennis? Your tennis.
I would do like struggles with the one-handed backhand, and like don't give up on it. Okay. Because
so you
watch a lot of tennis and everyone does a two-handed backhand, and I'd just be like, the one-handed backhand's graceful and stick with it.
It looks good. I went to Wimbledon for the first time this year.
You did?
Yeah. Have you been?
There was a good final this year with Federer and Djokovic.
Yeah. It was
exciting.
I was there. I was there like the week before, like third round kind of matches. Have you been? Have you been there?
I've never been there. I just saw some video of like American breakfast at Wimbledon. We call it, because it's on really early, and just the fonts, it was like graphics from 1988, and it kind of like gave me like a shiver. It's like TV graphics from the 80s.
What, you don't like seeing them?
I like it, but it looks good, but it's not quite kitschy. I lived through it too. Some things that like a younger person can look at the 80s and just appropriate it, or just think it's cool, or even the 90s. Like if you actually went through, if you were like 17 at that time and just either you just broken up with someone, you didn't know who you were, or you were, you kind of like, it takes you,
Yeah, they've started re-showing like a nostalgia show for the 90s here that was first on in like 2004 or something.
Yeah.
They've just started, for some reason, they've just started putting that back on TV here. And I get what you mean, because that's kind of my equivalent.
Right.
And
You were a teen. Were you like
I was in
young teen?
Yeah, in 95 I would have been 13.
Yeah. So do you reckon like 90s movies, 90s is one of the best decades of movies? Would you say that? This is just a test from a friend of mine who's similar age of yours, who says yes.
Who says yes to that?
He says there's like 10 classic movies. He'll do like the Terminator and stuff though too. I mean, he's a video director, but he likes some, he's like,
okay.
These are amazing things. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like 70s are the best movies.
I would say, no, see, I don't know if I would say that. I've got a fondness for those movies, but I think I can see them for being not great.
Yeah, not like just out back. Like, yeah, that was the time. Like this amazing stuff was getting made.
I think Terminator 2 is something else. I think that's like another level.
Yeah,
but a lot of it I don't think's aged very well.
Yeah.
But oddly, that thing you were saying about like the graphics not being old enough to be kitsch. Like if I see Back to the Future, then I'm kind of, or Star Wars.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's fine. That almost looks newer and more high tech than Terminator 2. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know why. Like, it shouldn't at all, because it's 10 years older. But there is something in that.
Yeah, the memory is different. Back to the Future is like, my friend, I haven't seen it lately. My friend said she saw it and it was like the worst movie. She couldn't believe that it got so
How bad it is.
I don't, in my mind, I remember it being kind of funny, and I see people wearing effing Back to the Future t-shirts now still, and like it has a pull on people, that's like maybe blasphemy that I would say that to some people,
Yeah, it's that and the Goonies.
Yeah,
that's another one of those films. So your kind of golden year films. So you think the 70s films are the best?
Yeah, films? I kind of think all things are best from the 70s, be it music or
So what age were you in?
Ideals of feminine beauty.
How old were you in 75?
11, 9.
Okay,
9.
right.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't know. That was 66 I was, so. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do. I know more about the music, the movies and the music. I know. I mean, I like that production techniques, and obviously there was a lot of ability to spend a lot of money. I mean, I like how some new stuff sounds today. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I hear these, even like Drake or Kanye West productions, I mean, they come on and they're like very huge sounding in my car.
Yeah.
So someone knows what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there hasn't been there's just digital. And this was back in the analog times, and maybe a lot of time spent on arrangements. And
do you have a record then from the 70s that you think sounds particularly good, that you just love the...
Oh, there's tons of them. I mean, even the Rumors and Steely Dan. I mean, there's that whole time. I mean, these are the Pink Floyds and the Led Zeppelins. Those records are really good sounding, I think.
Have you seen anything good this year?
I like I just in terms of things I purely want to like, and like are movies like Midsummer. I want that kind of movie to work, or Ben Wheatley, or these kind of new horror things, Under the Skin, that kind of movie. Like, I like sort of dystopian sci-fi or horror without the torture porn.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I kind of like just for fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm on the lookout for. I'm always hoping that there'll be another classic, whether it's Rosemary's Baby, Exorcist, World, is something that I like. You know, I can't help it.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
It's just fun. So I hope for those kind of movies. I don't know. What about you?
You know, have you seen that film Eighth Grade?
Yeah, we saw that. I
love
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I thought Booksmart was amazing. Have you seen Booksmart?
Yeah, Booksmart is.
just thought it was
those
so-
are both, and I like those kind. I saw those both with my daughter. Actually, she wouldn't watch Eighth Grade because she was in Eighth Grade, and it was too
that's
odd.
too close.
Yeah, I mean, it was just she just thought it was corny to watch. If it was called something else, she would have seen it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, of course.
But I thought those were both really good.
I thought
no doubt.
the performance in Eighth Grade of the main actor, I thought she was incredible.
Yep.
And Booksmart, I just thought was just so
That was
much
fun and good.
Yeah, really fun.
That was a little bit first world problems too, again, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a lark, but it was like gallivanting. I mean, it was so unbelievable, which the school, all of them going to Harvard. I mean, it was a satire, obviously, you know, or whatever. So, you know, it wasn't trying to be real.
No, it wasn't.
That gives it a pass for me, even almost, you know, like, man, we watched what was this movie? It was the nastiest movie. It's Ryan Philippe and the girl that played like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I think, and they were like two rich stepsister and
Cruel
brother.
Intentions?
Yeah, that movie is the most vile movie. Like, was it made when Portrait of the Serial Killer came out, or?
I think it was made in. I think that's one of those '90s movies. I think that's a '90s movie.
Just
right?
the tone of that movie is just it's so mean, and like I just don't. It could only be made at the height of supposed internet stocks are booming and decadent, or because it was like, who am I supposed to like, or there's no one to like in it.
As I say, last time I saw you was at Primavera playing and doing your talk about the films. And then at the end of Primavera, like 3 days after that, they obviously announced like the next year, which was the Pavement stuff. Were you still on site when that was all announced and stuff? You were out, you were way
but
out
I knew
there.
they were going to do it and stuff because I was told not to tell anybody about it until that point.
Did you manage to keep that to yourself?
Yeah.
It wasn't tempting to...
Not really. I mean, told like a couple people, but just tell them not to say anything. And it had been, there'd just been some chatting about it with those promoters and our original agent in America that had been with us forever. And he just kind of put this deal together with them. And all of a sudden it just seemed like it'd be a really fun thing to do.
Because I was actually there 10 years. It'll be 10 years. It was at Primavera before, wasn't it? Like in
we played there.
2010.
That's true, yeah.
When you reformed the first time. I like that kind of, is every 10 years, Pavement can just get together and do some
That would be
shows now.
nice if it could work out that way. I don't know if all of us will be around for the next 10. Well, we're only like in our early 50s, but certainly nothing to count on.
Yeah.
So, that was even a reason for me to want to do it too, because like everyone was still like relatively fit. I mean, we're like wrinkled and gray and stuff, but I like to think we still have some. We're not too far gone.
Yeah, sure.
For this kind of thing. Where you're just like old, totally like, like baby boomers up there or something.
Yeah.
You're
not the Stones yet.
No.
Yeah.
So I thought, we can do it, and everybody's still can play, and I don't know. They don't have like hip problems or something.
Yeah. Have you guys got together yet to practice, or is
No, we're gonna do it in May before, like for many weeks, for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We have to get our stuff together.
Yeah, sure.
So we haven't done that. But
Nice.
yeah.
Looking forward to it already. Is it just going to be that show, or is it going to be...
2, Porto.
Cool.
That's all.
And done.
Yeah, just
Nice.
because that's just weird. So we're going to do that.
It's good to keep it weird every now and then.
Yeah. Make it special. I mean, it's expensive for people to come to. I realize that. But it's not like I want to endorse this festival above all others, but I have had fun there. It has a diverse programming now that's, birthed from the dudes being like indie rocker guys to expanding it to the way the world is now, where...
Yeah, I thought the lineup this year was really fun.
Yeah.
And they got I think they got some stick for it. They did that 50-50 gender split, which I thought was a great thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of kind of maybe traditional rockist dudes probably kind of gave them a hard time about the Miley Cyrus booking and Lizzo and all of that stuff. But I thought I thought the atmosphere was incredible on the site. I mean...
There's always a place for you to go if you're that
exactly. You could just stick
quietist reading rocker person, or just Blur fan or something, or whatever that Venn is between that modern rockist. Anyway, I think most of us our tastes are like more diverse now anyway, so just like the lineup. So
how's the new record been received? It feels like it's been received really well.
Groove, yeah. It's been a while since it came out in like internet days. It's like been forever.
Yeah, it's ancient now, even though it came out this year.
I didn't come out, and I've had a lot of stuff happen. So I'm kind of picking it back up again, in a way. I did a tour in America, and it went really pretty well. I thought I did a good job for not doing anything like this, trying to offer up just not a dude with a guitar, singer-songwriter solo show.
Yeah.
You have to play to your strengths, and I wouldn't say my strengths. I'm not like hanging out at clubs all the time or really messing with my dance loop modes. So I have to be honest. I'm good at guitar and not as good at that.
Yeah, but good enough. I think that the record's, I think the record's great. Yeah. Does it feel like it's like just kind of as a record that steps away from what people know you for and having that kind of electronic element to it? Does it feel like having released it, is that like a bit of a itch scratched now, or are you kind of now like, I want to do a bit more of that?
In a way, I think that's kind of the way to go these days, is to scratch itches. I just don't want to keep doing the same thing. It's like, it's a point that I sometimes feel like I've wrestled a lot out of a more puritanical guitar song. Like I just do it, and it's cool, but it's like more of the same, or just refining the same thing. I'm just like, I could do that. I don't want to like say that's all bad, but it seems like it's maybe a time to approach things from a different angle, not only in a midlife crisis type way, but in a way that is more reflective of the world the way it is now.
Stephen, thank you for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Anyway, good night.